Ahoy! And welcome to the Boating Hour with Captain Rick. The Boating Hour brings you the latest and greatest essential information about everything that sails, floats, or motors upon the high seas of Southern California. From landlubbers to old salts, there'll be something for everyone. So climb aboard and get ready to sail with Captain Rick.
Ahoy out there, and welcome to the Boating Hour. I'm Captain Rick, and I want to thank you for joining us here on AM 870. We're here every Saturday at 4 p.m. Please be sure to visit us on the web at theboatinghour.com, and now all over social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble, the Boating Hour with Captain Rick. Thanks to our sponsor for our show today. For a healthy gut, the best probiotic on the market, Livia One Probiotics, natural, organic, and allergen-free. I had a wonderful time last weekend at Town Hall, the Salem Media Town Hall. I want to thank all my fans that came up and introduced themselves to me. I didn't know so many people listened to the show from the Salem family. That was pretty exciting. Well, talk about exciting. I have got a special guest today, a really exciting guest. I'm happy to have you, Michael. You're a counselor at the Port of L.A. High School. Did I get that right?
You are correct. Yep, that is my job.
Well, thanks for joining me. I've never thought in a million years that I would have a guest like you. I've had all kinds of guests. And I'll tell you something. I've looked at the curriculum. I've looked at what you sent me. I wish I had moved down to San Pedro and gone to this high school. This is so different than any high school I've ever imagined, and you've got some success stories. You guys, I tell you, every country, every school district should have a school like this. So explain about the school. You're down in San Pedro, right?
Yes, that's correct. We are a public charter. It's a public school, but we're a one-school school district. We support about 933 kids who are 9 through 12, so freshmen through seniors in high school. We've been around since 2005. Our first initial charter that we got through LAUSD was for maritime studies and international business. Okay. And when we went through charter renewal in 2016, we switched it over to a college and career readiness academy. So what that means is we have a bunch of high-level classes, a bunch of AP classes, honors classes to get kids ready for college, and we also have 6 career pathways that kids can pursue, and that's how our maritime studies transition into what we call marine transportation now.
Okay.
So that is a 2-year class. Where kids study everything from taking apart boat engines, boat electronics, navigation. I've seen them do, they build boats. So they'll build a rowboat every year. They go through the process of steaming and bending wood to make a boat, which is really cool. I've seen them do classes in Morse code where they're tested by turning on and off the lights, and they have to write down the message that the instructor is sending. It's a really, really cool class.
God, that's awesome. I did that in Scouts. This is something I would expect to see in college, but with such an astounding success. I was at Los Angeles Yacht Club, and I was at Cabrillo Yacht Club, and I mentioned that you were coming on as a guest, and people already know about it. Do you have to be a San Pedro resident? Do you have to be a local to go to this high school?
No, it's a school of choice.
Oh, okay.
So we have about 14 different feeder middle schools, everywhere from San Pedro all the way to Carson. We've had kids whose parents are so passionate about what we do that drive them down from downtown LA every year.
Right.
Or every day.
Okay,
yeah.
So you've got motivated students because a really incredible success rate, and you've got all the AP courses. I'm looking at this. I'm going to put this up on the website. But government, U.S. history, world history, and English language, Spanish, geography, chemistry, physics. I looked at that. You have the honors courses and athletics as well, baseball and. I guess you're not big enough to have a football team, but you've got cross country, volleyball, basketball, and sailing. So you've got
we've had a sailing team.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is just so amazing. So started in 2005, and was it real small at that time? Do you just it's an LAUSD affiliated school, or are you taking donations? Because this really is an amazing program, and I've just never heard of it until I accidentally met your students, some
That's
standout
right.
students at the Fleet Week. So I was at Fleet Week, the Battleship Iowa, and I was pretty impressed with them. And I'd asked to talk to them, and I was with somebody from the Coast Guard, and they said, "Boy, I wish I had gone to a school like that." They explained it, and they were really passionate about it. You know, I had Captain Carolyn from the tall boat. She's the tall boat captain
Yep.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Captain Carolyn didn't get introduced to boating until college. She was, I believe, I think it was at UCLA, if I'm remembering correctly. So from UCLA in college, she developed a passion. But to see this done with motivated kids, that's what we need across the country. Motivated kids at that age, where they have the ability to stand out and get educated and stuff. So tell me a little bit about what you do. Tell me your background, how you got into this, and what exactly
Sure.
you do for the students, and then let's talk a little bit more about the school and the website. Let's plug the website, POLAHS.net. What does that stand for?
Polis, Port of Los Angeles High School.
Oh, Port
.net.
of Los Angeles. Oh, PO Port LA Los Angeles HS High School. So Port of LA .net. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so I asked you a compound question. I do that a lot. I'll ask like 3 or 4 questions at the same time. And
That's okay. That's okay. I'm great on my feet.
yeah, so let's talk about you a little bit.
Sure. So I came to work at Polis in 2009. My background is in theater, musical theater, and then my teaching credential is in English. So for years here, I taught drama, advanced drama, and I also taught AP English language.
Wonderful.
So I was actually the person who founded the drama department here and has continued to flourish for the last 15 years. When we transitioned into the CTE stands for Career Technical Education. So that's the career part of College and Career Ready. When we transitioned to that, our then principal, Tom Scotty, wanted someone to kind of oversee the program. There's a lot of funding available, but there's a lot of rules as well. And so somebody to oversee the fact that we were meeting all of the funding requirements and that we were serving the students the way that we needed to. And so that became my job. So my title is Career and CTE Pathways Advisor. And that's, so I oversee about 245 students of our 933 who are completing these 2-year pathways. They all take 2 years to do. Some of them sign up early and they spend 3 years in the pathway. I have 2 students actually this year and 2 students last year who did 3 years in marine transportation because that's what they're interested in.
That's a huge field that people usually go into that when they're in either the Navy or the Coast Guard, and there's a Maritime Institute, and I've talked about that, and to see these young kids right out of high school thinking about that career path. How successful has it been? And I got to ask you the question, because it's such a difficult time for youngsters in their teen years. Are you having any of the problems that we're seeing it all over at the other schools? The discipline problems and the kids that are all your kids just so motivated. Tell me a little bit about how you're dealing, because
Sure.
teen years can be very difficult for everybody.
Absolutely. And we do see that at POLA. But what we also see is, I guess the way I want to say it is that these career pathways kind of save those kids.
Motivates them, yeah.
They don't have necessarily a passion for writing an essay in English or doing a lab in science, but they love to take pictures, or they love being on boats, or they love to build a house, or they love to weld. And so those classes kind of bring them to school.
Got it.
They keep them coming to school, and they keep them out of trouble because they're, instead of coming with, all of the emotions that a teenager goes through, feeds that as an excitement for these curricula. the pathways that they're in.
That is so fascinating, and not just boat operations. You got digital photography and video production. I would have been interested in that. Of course, you mentioned welding, and I've looked on the site, graphic design and construction. I would have been really excited about digital photography and video production. Of course, when I was in high school, that was just getting off the ground. But God, that is amazing, because a lot of people with that passion, They go through high school and college and then go to one of the private tech schools to get into that. So you're starting these kids out right right in high school. I can imagine, in sailing, I see a lot of the successful kids and the high-performing kids, because it really takes a lot of dedication to be a sailor and a racer when you're a youngster. And of course,
sure,
so I see that, but I'm also, seeing that a lot of the schools are having difficulty, and I think the answer to the the difficult times for the teenagers is programs, and that's what you're offering. I mean, this should be an example. I mean, every district should have a school like with that. Let's talk about the story. You've got a wonderful success story from Alex, who graduated 2018. Yeah. Let's talk about Alex a little bit. One of your success stories.
Sure. So when I was in the classroom, I taught Alex's older brother, Greg, and then I transitioned into this advisory role, and then I was his younger brother, Alex's advisor. And so when I knew I was coming on your show, I reached out to Alex and I said, talk to me a little bit about your journey. And so, he wrote me that same day about, now his job title is a 100-ton near coastal captain and second, but he starts his story when he's 14 or 15, going out as a pinhead on local fishing boats.
Right. Okay.
But then he was able to sign up for what we call boat operations. Then it's our marine transportation class now. Same class, just different title. And through that class, he got his CPR certificate. He got his U.S. Coast Guard STCW certification, and got to spend 2 years working on boats, working on tall ships down at LAMI, the Los Angeles Maritime Institute. And that really, solidified his interest. So after graduation, that's immediately what he went to. And now he works for Catalina Express, and our marine transportation class has reached out to him to come back to campus and talk to our students now. He would love to do that, but his schedule on the water is so busy that it's really hard to find the time.
Right, I can imagine. I'd love to publish the story if you could. And I'd love to go down to Catalina Express and take some photos and interview them on the fly. And I definitely would like to, if I have your permission, to publish what he wrote, because it's magnificent.
Sure.
It really shows, not just a passion, but a dedication and a focus. And I think that's very important, for youngsters to be focused. I switched around. I went from graphic arts to, education, to sociology, to being a printer. I bounced around a little bit, and I've seen how successful the youngsters at a young age, when they were focused and dedicated and had a passion, how successful they are in the later years. But he's already with Catalina Express, and he's 5 years out of college? He graduated out of high school. So he's 5 years out of high school.
He's 23 years old. Uh-huh.
Okay, that is magnificent. Is he got any goals to go in either the Coast Guard or is he loving it there? Because Catalina Express is a wonderful job.
So far, he's loving it there. He how much he loves his career, and which is an incredible thing to write at 23, I think.
No, I think so too. I would love to do that. Of course, extend an invitation to him to come on the show, and I would love to come. I've seen Catalina. I've wanted to get someone from Catalina Express on the show. That's one of the organizations that I haven't yet reached out or gotten a response from, but I would love to talk to him. Let's talk about some of your other students. Tell me what it's like for a student if they're on a career pathway. They still got to do their basics and to be able to graduate. And of course, I'm sure you have quite a few because it's honors classes you're teaching down there. So I'm sure a few are going straight into college and stuff. What is it? That sounds like a 20-hour-a-day commitment. I mean, the career path and the school.
It is a lot.
And the sports, because you got a range of sports from, you got the cheerleading, the soccer, softball, cross country, volleyball, basketball, sailing. Did I miss anything?
We have students getting ready to run the marathon.
Oh, okay.
They do SRLA.
Are they running as a group?
Program.
Are they running as a student? Yep. Okay.
They'll run as a student group with a bunch of other high schools from around Los Angeles County. Yeah.
Wow, that is just so inspiring. Well, tell me about some of the other students that are college bound that are going from your AP programs into some of the colleges.
The interesting thing about our career pathways, I'm going to get a little nerdy for 1 second.
Oh, I love it. I'm as nerdy as you can get.
To qualify to apply to a CSU or UC, Cal States, or any University of California University, you have to meet A to G requirements, which are science, math, English, social studies, foreign language, fine arts, and electives. The cool thing about our career pathways is not only do you get this experience, but those classes also fulfill either your fine arts or your elective credits that you need to apply to a UC or CSU. So what that means is we are really focused on the and of college and career ready. I've had students who went, she graduated 5 years ago probably, went to Berkeley to do pre-med, microbiology and chemistry, but she was also a digital photography student. What she did was, instead of just focusing on, her science, and she knew that's what she wanted to do, but she also has this photography background. So now she runs her own business, taking photos up in Oakland and the Bay Area for quinceañeras, for birthdays, for weddings, and that's how she makes her money to pay for her degree.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Extended invitation for her as well. Maybe I can have her cover some of the Bay Area regattas, for the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. That's I did that. Photography was my passion, and I took all the jobs that nobody else wanted. that was my wonderful career. God, this is so amazing to talk about that. So families can send their kids from anywhere. So it's what do they call
anywhere.
that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I don't quite understand how the LAUSD breaks up. I always thought you had to live in a local area. So on this, if someone's passionate about the career pathways are what again? Boat operations, digital photography, video production. What was the other ones that you had?
Graphic design, residential construction, and welding.
Okay. Great career pathways. And then, of course, the AP courses that are most of the kids in AP courses or just the top students, or are you pretty much a AP school?
We, I think, serve a mix of students. So there are students who are doing both career pathways and AP courses. There are students who are focused heavily on AP courses. There are students who kind of realize throughout their high school career that they're capable of AP. We had a student years ago, one of my personal favorites, Amber Galloway. She was one who came from a long ways away just to come to school here. When she showed up her freshman year, she was a little rough around the edges and She ticked off a lot of her teachers. By the time she graduated, she was taking AP classes. And now she's in a teacher prep program in college. She's going to be a teacher.
God, that's a great story. It's a very common story. Kids are just figuring out, who they are, what they are. But you have art, dance, and you mentioned drama in let's see if I'm remembering correctly, horticulture and all kinds of electives and, anatomy
Absolutely.
and physiology. This is a wonderful program. I'm really excited about it. I want you to send me some photos if you have any events, that I can come down, take a few pictures and meet you. I would definitely like get a photo from Alex at Catalina. I want to put his story up on the website. And then, of course, a link to POLAHS. How do you pronounce it? Polaris?
Polis. Polis.net.
Polis.net. Polis.net. PO for Port, LA for Los Angeles, and HS for high school, Polis. God, this is really amazing. There needs to be more schools like this. As a matter of fact, every school should be like this. Every school should have music, art, and sports, and AP courses, and career pathways. I think when I was, of course, I'm ancient. I turned into that guy that I used to laugh at. But when I was in school, we had shop, and they introduced you to the trades. You would have people that would come in, and now a lot of the schools, it's so difficult to budget for that, for insurances and this and that. So a lot of the schools, it's very difficult if you want to stand out, if you've got interest. It's very difficult for these young kids, and of course all the the terrible politics that goes on between budget. So you guys are standing really above the fray and doing a wonderful job. So 900 students. So I'm expecting 900 success stories. So that fills a lot of boating shows.
Yeah, it really does. I'll give you one more plug.
Okay.
For you personally and for any we also support a photography. So we have a space that is a public photography gallery where our student work goes up. It's different. It's open one day a month on the first, which is a celebration in San Pedro every month. First Thursday is kind of like a street festival. There's food trucks and everything. But at the gallery, you can come down. There's free food. There's live music. There's student work on the walls. You can meet some of our teachers and our every first Thursday.
I'm going to make a point of doing that. I have been to that. I enjoy San Pedro, and I am a regular down there, and I know what you're talking about, but I am going to make a point of coming to see you. I'll try to make it so it's coming up, right? So that'll be
tomorrow. Yep.
I'm not sure if I can make it right away, but if not, I'll definitely get down there and meet with you. Well, this is wonderful. It's been exciting having you on. This is a very unique and wonderful story, a success story in this troubling times to see what you guys are doing and the success stories coming out of it. And I really want to plug this quite a bit. So I want to thank you for coming on and being a guest. And I'm going to put this up on the website.
Absolutely.
And extend that invitation to Alex and some of the students, that you talked about. But really, I appreciate it.
For sure.
And thanks for coming on. And I will make a point of coming down there and seeing you, at the San Pedro down there. And for anybody interested, it'll be up on the website. Well, that's all the time that we have for you today. I hope you enjoyed our show. As always, we're so very fortunate to have such wonderful and exciting guests, and this really was a special one. POLAHS.net, so go to that. And let's not forget the Coasties. Right. Protecting our waters, America's lifesavers and guardians of the sea. Remember, if you do it right and follow the guidelines and safety precautions, there's no place like being out in the water in the fresh air and sunshine in beautiful, sunny Southern California. Here at the Boating Hour with Captain Rick, we cover everything that sails, motors, and floats from San Diego to Santa Barbara. Thanks for being with us today. Please be sure to join us next week and every Saturday at 4 p.m. on AM 870. And thanks to our sponsor for our show today. For a healthy gut, Livia One Probiotics. Don't forget to visit us on the web at theboatinghour.com and now on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. The Boating Hour with Captain Rick. I once again want to thank our guest for coming on the show. Keep your emails coming. This is Captain Rick saying ahoy and fair winds to all.